Good evening, my friends. My name is Niskanen, and this is my vlog of making all of the things. Mostly my own clothes, but this week we are working on a quilt for my mom. It is my first quilt ever, and yes, it is for my mom. I don't usually sew for other people, as you can have probably seen. Like, you have seen everything that I have sewn for my partner. And I made a shirt, a hoodie for my sister, and the greet hat for my mother. And that's pretty much it. I don't like to sew for other people, mostly because I can never quite be sure how they will receive it. And if it turns out that someone is not actually worthy of receiving these handmade things, then it makes me feel bad. Because so, human psychology time. It feels like a rejection of my expressed love, that someone is given something that I made and then doesn't use it for whatever reason. It feels better somehow if they donate it onward to someone who will use it, rather than keeping it and not using it, if it makes any sense. I just want the things I make to see use. But this week we are making a quilt, and I am not 100% sure that my mother will use it, but I have trust. Mostly I'm making it because she's going through some medical issues, and she's going to have to go to the hospital to have surgery soon. And I think this was called a baby size quilt, or was it a lap size quilt? Lap size quilt. So I figure this is small enough that it might be able to travel to the hospital with her, so that she can have a sort of reminder that she is beloved and, all that good stuff. I picked half of the colors, my sister picked the other half. The pattern is called Fat Quarter Pileup by Knot Plus Thread Design. My friend Carla found it for me. I don't know quilting designs, but my friend Carla is a very experienced quilting person and knows so much more than I will probably ever know. So this is where we're starting. I'm gonna turn you around and show you my layout before I start putting it together. Okay, so here it is, laid out in columns, with 3 folded in half at the top. These 3, the other half of them would go down here, except I haven't cut them to the right size yet because I need confirmation from my sister. I'm gonna turn you around again. So yes, that is the layout for this quilt. And now I just need to get confirmation from my sister that this is, because we have been playing around with this layout quite a lot. There have been several attempts at getting a layout that we are both happy with. And this is the one that we wound up with the very last, but I still wanted to make sure that this is the lineup that we want to make before I cut the 3 half-size pieces. Currently they're cut the same size as everything else, so that's a good time. Anyway, I will see you on the other side when I start sewing. Alright, so the columns are all prepared, which means that it's time to put them together. And after that, I have a fully completed top of a quilt, which is nice. Very nice. Yeah. This is... I mean, I want to say it's going much faster than I thought it would, but it's kind of not. Because honestly, the top of the quilt is just a few seams, and straight seams at that. So, yeah. I am, however, worried about the quilting. The quilting worries me. Yes, this is a fact. I don't know how that's going to go, but we are going to do our very best to make sure it's gonna go smoothly. I hope. Yeah, let's go with that. Anyway, time to put the columns together, and I will see you on the other side. Good morning, my friends. The quilt top is all done. There's just no way I'm going to get it into the frame all in one piece in this room. So we're going to move to the living room in a bit to make the quilt sandwich. I got into marking out the quilting lines last night until my friend Carla demanded pictures and then told me about this neat trick that exists. So yes, apparently there's a seam guide. I think it's called a seam guide that I thought I didn't have, but it turns out I have. It just looks different than it does for a machine with a walking foot instead of a dual feed. The next thing to do, as I mentioned, is to make the quilt sandwich, and that is going to take quite a lot of work because my understanding is that I need to baste the whole thing while it's there, and hand sewing has never been my strong suit, so we'll see if we can find any alternatives. I do have a shit ton of what is the word? Safety pins. Maybe I can use those. I don't know. We will see. Anyway, quilt sandwich coming up. I'll take you to the living room for that. Okay, so here is the quilt top in all of its glory. Here we have the backing, I think. The quilt bottom. If the other one was the top, then this one's the bottom. And here we have the bamboo batting. And here we have all three put together. And now it's time to baste. Disaster struck. So, what I thought I was buying was a piece of red cotton, 2 meters long and 150 centimeters wide. What I got was a piece of fabric 2 meters long and 145 centimeters wide. This is significant because my quilt top is 145 centimeters roughly wide. And the quilt bottom and the batting are supposed to be wider, at least a little bit, so that you wind up with something that is more maneuverable, and it's not as big of a deal if it gets if it's not exactly aligned. Yeah. So, I have an alternate plan, which is actually a very good one, even if I do say so myself. So I was hoping to find some use for the remainder of this granatäpple, which is actually 150 centimeters wide. So, it is not, however, tall enough. I have 164 centimeters, I think, and I need 180. So, what I have done instead is I have taken these 2 meter wide strips of fabric from the thing that I thought would be the original quilt backing, and I am going to attach them to this. That way I will have a quilt bottom, quilt backing, whatever, that is pieced. It's the perfect size. Anyway, I'm gonna do that. I'm probably going to head to the gym before all of that gets done, but I will see you on the other side. Okay, let's try this again. This is the backing. We have all three of them put together, and I think this is going to be just fine. I ran out of the safety pins that I have, the big safety pins, but I am going to call it good at this point and just roll it up and get ready to sew. Or quilt, I think is the correct term. Anyway, I will see you on the other side. Lessons thus far, I have made it maybe about 50 centimeters or so in to the first direction of quilting. It's more difficult than I thought it would be, honestly. The seam guide thing, that didn't work out well at all. The lines where I went by the seam guide are completely crooked. That is not going to get reused. The other thing that became a problem was the needle. I was using a standard, I think 80 something needle. I switched to a that kept sort of knocking, and once the needle just plain came off. So I switched to a jeans needle that is 90 by 14 or something like that. That seems to be working out pretty well so far. And yeah, so since the seam guide doesn't really work, at least not for me, maybe it would if I were more experienced at this or something, but at least I can't make it work, so that's just not gonna happen. So instead of that, I think what I am going to do is I am going to just keep drawing the chalk lines. I need to stop periodically to draw more chalk lines, and it's getting more and more difficult as the size of the quilting stitch line grows. But in general, it's at least I'm making progress. That is pretty much all that I can say about it at this point. At least I'm making progress. So yeah, I'm going to keep at this and work on. Probably I need to go do some other work periodically, because this is actually physically more taxing than I thought it would be. So there is that. Yeah. Anyway, I'll keep doing this. I'm not gonna film more of it because it's rather repetitive. But but I will talk to you again once the first direction is all quilted. And then we will see about quilting the other direction. I'll see you on the other side. Good afternoon. It is several days later, and we have finished quilting. It is good. It is very linty. Linty? There's a lot of, I think, bamboo fluff on this quilt right now, but allow me to show you. It has been worked over for a long time. So the next thing to do, I think, is to trim the edges and then bind the whole thing and then wash it, because it is actually kind of filthy. Like, seriously, this is ridiculous. It's just, there's a lot of bamboo fluff on this quilt top and this quilt bottom. Anyway, it is done. The quilting is done. Now to trim and bind it. I will see you on the other side. Okay, so what is left is the binding, and my sister and I, we had a look at the binding options and decided to go with me making my own bias tape for the very first time. I am very nervous, but I feel like this is going to be the best possible choice for this situation. Mostly because I think that it's going to be more calm doing it this way. And calm is a good thing when you are working on something that is supposed to be taken with you to be calming, if you know what I mean. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut some strips, and then once I'm done cutting the strips, I will join them and then I will press them. I have no idea if this is going to be good in any way, because I have never made bias tape for my own before. I have the tool, but I've just never actually used it. So we will see how this goes. And if it doesn't, well, then I still have my wax fabric bias tapes. So at the very least, if things go horribly wrong on this front, I will be able to turn back onto that. So first I cut, then I sew, then I press. And I will see you on the other side. Okay, I think I have enough of this bias tape to bind the quilt. I hope I have enough of the bias tape because I really don't want to make more. But yes, bias tape. There is a quilt in need of binding over there. So I'm just gonna get started and I will see you on the other side. It is finished. This is the front, fully finished. And this is the back, fully finished. Alright, it is, as you saw, it is completely done. Completely and totally done. It is pretty big. Yeah, it's somewhat stiff. I didn't realize how stiff it would be, but I think it's going to be a good time. It's to use, I mean. It is, yeah. I was, so again, the come on now, the pattern is Fat Quarter Pileup, although I didn't use fat quarters. I think my friend said that these are the things that I bought were called whole yards or yard cuts or something like that. But in any case, yes, Fat Quarter Pileup. I think the name of the studio that made it is Thread and Knot or something like that. And the piecing itself was very fast, but the the quilting was a lot less so. But it's done. So I started piecing on Saturday. I I started quilting on Sunday, and today is Thursday. It took me a while to do all of the quilting, a lot longer than it took me to do any of the other sewing. So there is that. But the quilting is done. The quilt itself in its entirety is done. I made my first ever bias binding. I'm hoping it's going to be secure enough, but we will see. So everything in this room is now covered in a fine layer of bamboo fluff. Yeah, bamboo fluff. So I took a good while with a lint roller to get this as clear as it is, but I think that I'm going to put this in the washing machine in any case. That way it'll be cleared of also my dog's dander, which my mother is allergic to. So if I put this in the washing machine for a quick cycle and then dry it out in the sauna, which is not only a clean place in general, but a clean place in particular to right now, because our housekeeper cleaned it on Monday. So yes, I think that way this should be as pet-free as it can be while remaining in this apartment. In any case, I think this was a very successful attempt at making something. I think the next time I make a quilt, I will probably figure out something else about the quilting. Probably, maybe. We will see. In any case, I'm done, y'all. That means that it is time to move on to the next project. And if you like this video, please like, comment, subscribe, do all of the YouTube things, and I will see you next Thursday with probably seam work, I think Mel joggers. Joggers in any case, matching the Cosmo sweater that I made last week? Possibly. In any case, I will see you next Thursday.